The Breakfast Rush podcast, if you missed it this morning.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I, Yusuf Cassim, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and will obey, respect and uphold the Constitution and all other law of the Republic. I undertake to hold my office as Deputy Minister with honor and dignity, to be true and faithful counsellor, not divulge directly or indirectly any secret matter entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office conscientiously and to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you.
When that was played for the very first time, the excitement in many places and spaces in South Africa was quite tangible. South Africa's higher education sector is a critical crossroads. Is at a critical crossroads. From student debt and NSFAS challenges to concerns around graduate unemployment and access to tertiary education, the sector remains under immense pressure. This week, President Ramaphosa announced changes to the National Executive, appointing Yusuf Cassim as the country's new Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training. Cassim is no stranger to public service. He first entered Parliament in 2014 at just 24 years old, becoming one of South Africa's youngest members of Parliament. Over the years, he has built a reputation around youth issues, education and governance. His appointment comes with both expectation and scrutiny. Many South Africans are eager to hear how he plans to tackle some of the sector's biggest challenges and help improve opportunities for young people. This morning on the Breakfast Rush, we're joined by South Africa's newly appointed Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Yusuf Cassim. Honourable Deputy Minister, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the Breakfast Rush on Radio Al Ansar.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and to all of your listeners, thank you for having me.
Firstly, Honourable Deputy Minister, congratulations from all of us here at Radio Al Ansar on your appointment.
Jazakallah khair, I appreciate it.
What was going through your mind when you got that call?
Nishal, it's a story that I've only just shared this morning on a different radio show. When I was called by my party leader about 5 or 6 weeks ago, it was somewhat unexpected. I didn't serve in the National Assembly since 2019 when I left the National Assembly to serve in the Eastern Cape Provincial Parliament. And my initial reaction when I was called by the federal leader of the DA was actually to decline the appointment, given my responsibilities in Nelson Mandela Bay. It's a municipality that is imminently winnable for the Democratic Alliance and to the Eastern Cape Province. And thereafter, in follow-up conversations about why the leader would like for me to take up this appointment, and of course, it's a huge honor to be considered for such an appointment by my party leader. I made istikhara, I sought guidance, and I accepted the role. So it perhaps is a bit strange. It's not your usual reaction. And I feel the weight of the responsibility, given that it is a deputy ministerial post. There is uncertainty as to what delegations the minister. Yeah, I do have a meeting now set up with the minister for this coming Monday. And I made it very clear to my party leader when he called me that I'm not interested in performing a ceremonial role, going to cut ribbons at different parts of the country. This has been a calling for me since my student days to fight for the issues of marginalized and underprivileged students, for access to quality higher education. And I made it very clear that were I to accept this role, that I would be vocal about the issues that I am passionate about, and that might be uncomfortable within the GNU.
Deputy Minister, how has life changed in the last 48 hours?
I think it has changed quite drastically. After the swearing in on Wednesday, I met with the national leader of our student wing to try and understand some of the issues. And when I arrived back at my accommodation in the evening, it then really became clear to me that there was a discussion taking place on social media and across the nation around attacks that had been launched against me. And so that has been something that I suppose I didn't expect to this extent. And my focus really has been to try and understand the issues within the sector, to be prepared to make an impact as best I can. So I am, I suppose, working my way through the current environment where the discussions have now shifted to my religion, my faith, to my ethnicity and my background, which actually shouldn't be the focus given the serious issues that are affecting young people across South Africa.
You entered Parliament at just 24 years old. Looking back, what would 24-year-old Yusuf say about where you are today?
Nishal, that's a very interesting question. I suppose just to give you some context in my answer to that question, I only stood to go to Parliament to fight the issues affecting students. I didn't stand for any other reasons. I had no interest in pursuing politics formally. When I was a student leader, I was the SRC president at the Nelson Mandela University. Myself and my incredible team that I worked with quickly realized that there are systemic issues and structural issues that could not be solved at an institutional level. And that is what led me to change my journey, or the pathway that I was on at the time, and to make myself available to go to Parliament. In fact, I was imminently more electable on the provincial list in my province, and I was not electable to go to Parliament as to where I stood on the list, and I chose to remain on the national list because I said to the leadership at the time that I've got no interest in being a public representative unless it is to serve in the Higher Education Portfolio Committee in Parliament. So this has been a come full circle, because the issues that I was fighting for then still remain within the sector today. And therefore, you know, knowing what I know now back then, I would feel, I suppose, the weight of the responsibility of trying to make an impact in the current environment, and hoping and praying that I can make an impact in the role that I've been given, because there are hundreds of thousands of South Africans who currently are impacted and who depend on the work that we do. I've been inundated, for example, with messages from students that have not received their allowances. The impact that that has on an individual's ability to be able to be successful in their academics is critical. And therefore, you know, going back, I would never have thought that this would have been a possibility, but it is definitely a responsibility that I take very seriously.
What do you believe is the biggest crisis currently facing higher education in South Africa, Deputy Minister?
So there's a number of issues, but if I have to sort of try and tie it all together as to what is the core root of the problem, it's that government centralizes everything. And what ends up happening in that respect is that we have large bureaucracies that siphon off a lot of the money and the resources that are invested. And there are a lot of resources, substantial resources that are invested by government into the sector. The National Student Financial Aid Scheme, as an example, receives over 20 billion rand in funding from the National Fiscus. Similarly, the CETA's sector receives over 20 billion rand in funding through primarily the Skills Development Levy. And then, of course, other parts of the sector are also centralized. And that, for me, is the root cause of the problem. We have many companies that then are recruited and contracted in order to then provide centralized services which siphon off a lot of the resources, that do not provide a service that is in the best interest and is enjoyed by the end user. And what ends up happening is that ordinary South Africans suffer. So my belief is that we must be decentralizing government. We must be bringing government closer to the people. Why do we need to centralize the funding of students when we can disperse funds to institutions and fund students more directly? Similarly, within the CETA's environment, the entire CETA's landscape can be reformed to ensure that the skills that are offered are relevant to the future's job market, which is currently experiencing an artificial intelligence disruption. We need to change the way that we think about government and funding skills development and training. And if we can get past that mental hurdle in this respect, in the approach of government, and put citizens at the center of what we do. What is the experience experienced by citizens, rather than what is the way that government wants to do things? That mental shift is necessary for us to deal with the multitude of issues that exist within the sector.
If you just tuned in, this is Radio Al Ansar, your breakfast rush, and we have the pleasure of speaking with the Honourable Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Yusuf Cassim. Now, Honourable Deputy Minister, you touched on this in a previous answer, and I want to delve a little bit deeper. Unfortunately, your appointment has triggered some Islamophobic reactions online. What is your response to that?
So I've thought about this, Nishal. I've obviously gone through the emotions of all of the comments that have been made, or the public commentary with respect to my faith and my ethnicity. And I thought very deeply about the contributions that have been made by colored Indian and Malay South Africans who have been in South Africa for generations, for well over a century. And the contributions made to the liberation struggle and the project that we are seized with in order to build a capable democratic state. And what has really struck me is that, given the attention that has been drawn to my appointment, is that this is an opportunity to bring South Africans together, to display the beauty in our differences. There is beauty in our differences, Nishal. We are a diverse nation. And unfortunately, recently, the political discourse has trended towards the extremes. The nationalist and divisive voices have gained traction. And that is very unhealthy for our nation-building project. We believe, as the Democratic Alliance, and I believe, that it is important to bring South Africans and communities together, to unite behind a common purpose of building a South Africa that works for all South Africans. And currently we don't have a South Africa that works for all South Africans. And that is why we have a large part of our population that feels as if they're not part of the economy, that they don't have a stake in our democratic project. So our duty is to work tirelessly in order to ensure that we bring on board all South Africans, that every South African feels as if they have a stake in the fortunes of the country and the economy of the country. And, you know, Nishal, the last thing that I will just say in this respect is that we all have a choice to make as South Africans as to what is the society that we want to build for our children. And we can decide to divide ourselves, and we can decide to unite ourselves. But if we decide to divide ourselves, we will then embark on a very dangerous pathway. And it's not going to stop at attacking individuals on the basis of their faith. It's not going to stop then on attacking individuals on the basis of their ethnicity and their background. But this will become a monster or a beast that will be insatiable. It will consume the entire nation. The divisions and hatred will consume every single community, and it will prevent us from reaching our potential as individual South Africans and as a nation.
Thank you very much for your answer on that, Honourable Deputy Minister. I want to lighten the mood a little bit and go through a series of maybe 4 or 5 quick rapid-fire responses with the Honourable Deputy Minister. So, Minister, I'm going to say take a deep breath, and here we go. Quick answers. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
One app you cannot live without?
My Qibla app on my phone.
One word your colleagues would use to describe you?
Friendly, approachable.
If you weren't in politics, what would you be doing?
A chartered accountant.
Honourable Deputy Minister Yusuf Cassim, it has been a pleasure and an honour speaking with you on the programme again this morning. Thank you very much for indulging us. Have yourself a blessed day and Jummah Mubarak to you.
Join us again on TBR.